Alrighty, break time's over. Now I can finally start getting back to work on FNF modding. And up first, after the break, is Path to Deicide. Now I know I said it was gonna be versus FNAF 2, but I thought to myself, well, I want to start with something kinda small, and this soundtrack is only 9 songs long, so I figured, you know what, I might as well do it. It's a pretty good mod. And that's really true. I love Path to Deicide. It didn't reach my top 10 FNF mods for nothing. The entire OST is just so ominous, but also it's just so incredible the entire way through. It has its own little story that it follows through every single cutscene, every single song, and I really like that. There are 9 songs to talk about, and I am including everything in this mod. Every single song, nothing fan-made, but I also am including all the remixes. Plus, I will be using some fan-made charted versions that I found, because I don't want to speak on the songs with just their OST builds uploaded. That would be a little bit strange. So, anyway, let's begin, shall we? Is what I would have said if we were actually doing Path to Deicide. Ha! April Fools, bitches! We're not actually doing this mod today. You've just been pranked! Although I do plan on covering Path to Deicide sometime in the future, but not right now. But I am going to be working on a 9-song mod in this video. Although it's a mod I bet most of you guys probably haven't heard of. Funkin' Corruption Insanity. This is a bit of an obscure corruption mod. It's not exactly pity corruption, it's, I believe, the original form of corruption that Friday Night Funkin' introduced itself. And kind of like heavy mods, I don't love corruption mods. There's a few handfuls like this mod, Corruption Null, and a corruption mod that I am actually on a team with, but for the most part I think they're just pretty mid, but this one is actually really damn good. Now there are a couple rules for this one. First of all, I'm only doing the 9 songs that were in the demo. I know there are other songs that have been released to the public that the devs posted, but because those aren't added to the mod yet, I don't really feel comfortable talking about them quite yet. Plus there's a chance they could get changed in the future, so yeah. I guess out of the way, let's begin, shall we?
Flowers are in bloom as the birds all tell. It's a beautiful day to be burning in hell. You gave me advice, I chose genocide. Thought I know how to make it right.
If I had a nickel for every time there was a Sans song that sucked because both chromatics were atrocious and Sans had the worst of the chromatics, which didn't make any sense at all, I'd have 2 nickels. That isn't a lot, but it's weird that happened twice, even though it really shouldn't have. Seriously, fuck Homicide League 2. Anyway, yeah, I don't like Utopia, and for the most part I try and pretend this song doesn't even exist, because I think it's a pretty bad song. But yeah, let's run through why I don't like this song, because I got a couple reasons. For one, the instrumental is way too loud and really doesn't give off many Undertale vibes at all, and I'm not really the biggest fan of that. There are times where like a ton of Undertale vibes can work, like in the Uprising from Dustin, but it just doesn't really work here. Kara's chromatic is also very high-pitched at parts, and I really don't like how they went with her chromatic at all. It just is not fun to listen to. Sans, for the most part, sounds really bad. His corrupted chromatic, for the most part, isn't very good to start with. It just doesn't sound anything like him, and then when he gets half uncorrupted, he sounds like Daddy Dearest for some reason. And that's just weird to me. However, I will play devil's advocate a little bit. I think the ending about 30 seconds of song is actually really good because Sans goes back to his actually good chromatic, and the melodies do kind of pop off a little bit near the end, so I'll give the song that. But yeah, I don't really like Utopia a lot. I've never liked this song.
Aww, she is clearly having an identity crisis. Rebrand, identity crisis. Who am I?
Crisis. You know, out of the 7 main story songs, this one has always been my least favorite. Well, for the most part. I guess for a while it was System Overload, but really Crisis has for the most part been my consistently least favorite, which really sucks because the intro of Crisis is actually really nice. Boyfriend sounds really good in this song, sounding so happy and chipper, and I love that. Senpai sounds amazing, and the instrumental is really nice before everything fades away as Boyfriend disappears and a faceless Pico shows up, and this is where I start having problems with the song. So, Pico's corrupted, pixelated chromatic is, for the most part, fine. I don't like it, but I don't hate it either. It's easily the worst performance in the entire mod right here. The problem is his voice cannot, either is too loud or it's too quiet at parts. When he duets with Senpai, it's too quiet. When he's by himself, it's too loud. And I don't really care for that a ton. Although, I will play devil's advocate a little bit. I do like how Senpai sounds the entire way through, and I will think I gotta admit, the melodies in this song are pretty catchy. However, there's 2 more issues I have not addressed with this song. Well, actually 3. 1, the instrumental. It's very, very repetitive and one note, and I don't vibe with that. 2, the melodies themselves. Yes, while they're good, they can get a wee bit repetitive for the most part, mostly on Senpai's side, because Pico's for the most part is actually doing a pretty solid freestyle, which I do like. And 3, the ending of the song is a 30-second long instrumental, which again is very repetitive, and I don't vibe with that. The song's going in B tier because, again, the intro is exceptional, and Senpai actually sounds really good throughout this entire week for the most part, and his melodies are pretty decent, but yeah, I don't vibe with this song a ton.
Disturbance in the force, as if millions of voices suddenly cried out in terror and were suddenly silenced. I fear something terrible has happened.
Disturbance has such an incredible opening. Feels like it's just ready to start off with the most epic battle ever, and I love that feeling that the song's intro gives out. Even in the instrumental part in the beginning. But the real star of this intro is Corrupted Boyfriend's chromatic. Seriously, out of the 7 times in this mod that he sings, this is probably my favorite usage of his chromatic. Which is actually kind of weird because it's actually a different chromatic than what he usually uses. And I think it actually works very well. It sounds corrupted alright, but also very serious, but with a slight hint of a joke under it, before the lights turn on and you see a fox just sleeping on the speaker and Boyfriend yelling at it. If I had a nickel for every time there was an animal in a song that Boyfriend sung against that was a fox-like creature, I'd have 2 nickels. That isn't a lot, but it's weird that it happened twice again. Funny world. Anyway, the song loses the, well, I don't say, high energy feeling it was going for and just tones down to more of a joke theme, and I actually don't hate it all that much. It sounds really nice, and Boyfriend's chromatic works very well. The melodies are actually quite nice. His Boyfriend just sounds really angry at this fox, and the fox doesn't sing at all because, well, it's sleeping before Pico just jumps in, and his melodies are actually quite nice. This is better than almost everything Pico threw out in the Senpai week, and not quite as good as some of the stuff from his own week. And his chromatic, again, works wonders in the song, and the instrumental gets a little bit better as well, and I quite like that. And Boyfriend is getting so angry at Pico to just get off the stage, and Pico just saying, no, I don't want to get off the stage, motherfucker, I just want to sing, and to stop yelling at the fox. But Boyfriend just doesn't care. He's so unbelievably mad. He just wants to sing, but he doesn't want to do the fox as well. As Pico just slowly starts becoming corrupted again, which I think is actually quite funny to see, before he just jumps away again. And Boyfriend goes back to the solo against the fox, with a very nice pop-off between him. Seriously, I'll give Disturbance some massive praises. It's got really good pop-offs. So, why is the song not ranking something like, I don't know, A tier? Well, 2 reasons. 1, the song does start and stop a little bit, which is a bit of a shame. And 2, the bigger reason, when the fox finally wakes up, the instrumental just turns into something you hear like in an elevator, and I don't really care for that a bunch, and there's no more melodies to play, and it just really could have been cut from the song, and I think I would have liked it a little bit more, and it's really what's killing Disturbance for me. This kind of bad ending, which kind of sucks because I really like Disturbance and it could have been A tier, but it just barely missed the mark for me.
What the hell are you doing here?
I'm doing whatever the fuck I wanna do, motherfucker. That's what I'm doing.
No, I'm kind of in the middle of something. Dude, like, get out.
Don't care, and don't remember asking. So how about you get off my head? Man, fuck you. You literally yelling at some fox sleeping on
Where was I? Oh yeah, I didn't.
Hiccup, do you know what red oleander is?
Of course.
You don't, actually. If you did, you would know that if the flower is ingested by a dragon, it will cause a slow, agonizing death.
Unlocked was close to making it to A tier, but it did have two things going against it that I just didn't care for, which I'm just gonna address right now because they kind of persist throughout the entire song. One, and the small of my two issues, the instrumental. It's a bit empty at parts, which I do kind of get why, considering Pico and Senpai are the only ones left in the dating simulator. But then there's my other problem with the song. Just like Crisis, Senpai is overpowering Pico in so many parts, and I don't love that. I'll give this song some actually pretty solid credit. Its melodies for the most part are all really good, and I do like how both Senpai and Pico sound. When they're soloing with each other, they both sound actually really good, and I like that. Pico sounds a bit better than he did in Crisis. Senpai sounds confident for the most part before it gets a bit worried near the end, and the ending melody is just really good. But the instrumental and the duets kinda kill the song from ranking an A tier, although now to be honest, they wouldn't really rank any higher past A tier if those problems were fixed. So I do like this song, it's something I want to come back to on consistent listen. I just turn it on sometimes and I feel happy, and that's kind of all I really feel with Hemlocked.
So how's it looking for all those jobs we did?
We made shit all. We did 10 kills today, and yet we only made $3,000 split between the three of us.
Inception, the first song in the mod, and not my absolute favorite thing ever. Yes, it's a really good song now we're found at the beginning of our A tiers, but at the same time, this song does have a massive problem that I need to address right now. Boyfriend's chromatics. Keyword, chromatics. Because he has two chromatics in this song. His default corrupted chromatic, and some weird high-pitched chromatic they gave him, which I don't love, and it randomly switches up at parts, and I don't think that's a very good way to implement a chromatic. But for the most part, the rest of the song is actually really good or amazing. Pico's chromatic is really good in this entire week, a lot better than it was in Senpai's week, and I quite enjoy the instrumental in this song. It starts off nice and simple, but before it really kicks up later on, I quite enjoy that. Darnell's chromatic is also just incredible. Darnell is my favorite chromatic from base F and F in general, and he sounds one of his weakest in this song, still really good. You can't really go wrong with Darnell's chromatic at all. What did I think about actually, except in Darnell Boyfriend mix? But even then, it still sounds really good here. And the pop-off duets between both Boyfriend, Darnell, and Pico all just sound really good. Though I do gotta admit, I think the ones between Pico and Boyfriend aren't great because they're using the high-pitched voice, and that's kind of what's killing this song for me again. But hey, Inception's still a really good song, I just don't vibe with as much as the other four. Because System Overload is the shortest song of the OST and also runs by very fast, I'm gonna need a bit longer than 2 minutes to run by why I think a song is really good, and how it barely, and I mean barely, missed the mark of S tier. So I'll start with some positives. For one, I adore how Pico sounds in this song. First, Corrupted Chromatic is probably my favorite usage in the entire mod. This is the proper speed for not only his chromatic, but also for the instrumental's intensity to work with here. Spirit and Senpai both also sound exceptionally well. I love that chromatics are also slightly altered. You can actually notice the difference between the two of them. So the base game doesn't really do all that often, nor does any other Corruption mods that I've ever seen, which I think is actually really nice. Boyfriend, wherever he jumps in, which is a bit of a problem out of the song, but I'll address later, sounds actually really good, although I do wish he had a time for like a proper pop-off, which is a little bit of a mood killer for me, because I just wish he had his own proper time just to speak for like half a minute or so. That would have been nice. And I guess I have two other small problems with the song. One, it's, again, too short. It's the shortest song in the entire OST, not even being 2 minutes, now that I even think about it. Just barely missing the mark. And, if I'll be honest, I don't love it when Senpai sings. He uses a bunch of jarbled hold notes to just expand on for one key at a time, and I'm not necessarily the biggest fan of that. Whenever Spirit does it, it's fine, but whenever Senpai does it, just sounds so messy. He doesn't do it a ton, he doesn't do it every single time he sings, but when he does, it's not really enjoyable, and kind of what kills the song from ranking as an S tier for me. It's more just a very high A tier.
Fish! 3 animals, 1 body. I know this one. There's like a perfect name for it in mythology.
Chimera?
Yeah! No, turducken. Well, chimera works.
Chimera, the start of our S tiers, and the song that I have always enjoyed for the most part. In fact, this song doesn't really have any problems going for it now that I think about it. Not a single one, which is why I love this song as much as I do. So I'll start my list of positives. Beginning off with Boyfriend's chromatic, I quite like it in this song. It really shifts to a more custom chromatic, only doing it one time in phase 2 and once in the ending, but other than that, it stays at its default chromatic for the most part. I actually quite enjoy that. Darnell's chromatic is also amazing in this song. I'm kind of sad it's not getting more screen time, so I guess it's my only slight issue with this song, but it's not more of an issue, and it's more of a gripe than it's an issue. Pico, for the most part, just sounds absolutely fucking incredible, especially with all the motifs to his past songs, which I think actually works very well with his freestyling performance here. And the instrumental is actually quite nice. It gives you a feeling of hope for most of the first half, and I quite enjoy that before this mod truly shows why this Corruption mod is different than others. While Boyfriend's supposed to break free in this song, he slowly begins getting corrupted again, as both Pico and Darnell realize their actions have been in vain. They're losing control of Boyfriend again, and they can't do anything about it. The gunshots aren't working anymore. The song just comes to a tragic end as the instrumental just shifts back into a sorrowful tone, which I think is a very nice way to end off the song. So yeah, well, I really enjoy Chimera. I don't know, even though the other two songs had slight issues, I just don't know this one high enough highs to rank anywhere higher than 3rd place. Still an amazing song, but just not my favorite thing.
I want to watch my show!
Oh no, Stewie's having a tantrum.
How the mighty have fallen. From Outrage once being my 3rd favorite FNF song to it not even ranking in 1st place, nor it even being an SS anymore. Way to fucking go, Outrage. You sure had a drop off. Well, that being said, just this song is amazing for the most part, although I do have a problem with each phase. I'm going to address Phase 1's issues right now. This phase doesn't have a ton of energy going for it, and I kind of get why both Pico and Darnell have been heavily corrupted, and they just had a very exhausting battle in Chimera, but also, I don't love how Darnell sounds in this song. He sounded really good in Chimera and Inception, but in this song, he just is at his weakest in the mod for some reason. That's so unbelievably strange. Pico still sounds really good, and I think Corrupted Boyfriend's custom chromatic works wonders here for this song. Plus, the instrumental and the melodies for the most part are pretty good, although, again, I wish they were a bit more, well, energetic to them, but I don't think it's a bad thing. But, yeah, that's kind of what's killing the first half of Outrage for me. Then we get into the second part of Outrage. The lights flicker a few times, and 2 familiar faces crawl up. Girlfriend and, well, MJ's girlfriend jump in, both fully corrupted, as both Pico and Darnell have been shown to get more corrupted, and I had another problem with this phase. So, Girlfriend sounds really good in this phase. I mean, that's very good. I love her chromatic. I can't say the same for Nene, however. Her voice is so kind of just dull for the most part, and I don't get that. I've heard other Nene chromatics before, and they all sound really good, but this one just sounds so unbelievably dull and bored, and I don't like it. And I'll be honest, for a while I confused it for Girlfriend's chromatic, unaware that Nene was actually singing. But you know, I'll give this phase some credit. The melodies pop off the entire way through, Girlfriend pops off, and I love the duets between Girlfriend and Boyfriend, and Nene and Boyfriend. They all sound really good. But, yeah, this song, as much as it's really good highs, it also just has 2 things about the song I don't like, and of what kind of killed my enjoyment of Outrage. It sucks, but not everything can remain good forever, or in Outrage's case, exceptional. And I just prefer the last song that we have over this one.
cake. And here's Spencer! It's alive! I'm dead.
If I had to describe this song in one word, I would say wasteland. Because to me, that's what Oblivion feels like. Everything around Spirit that he's known for so long has been completely decimated and just overall destroyed. All because of some new entity that's entered his world, and he is just pissed off and ready to take him out, no matter the threat that could come to him. And I think I love that most about Oblivion. And when Outrage fell from SS, it became clear only Oblivion or Chimera would even come close. But as Chimera just didn't have the proper strength to push it up there, Oblivion took the lead as my favorite. And you know what? I really like this song. While it lacks SS material, it's still an amazing song that I just love coming back to on so many re-listens. The instrumental is beautiful throughout the entire song, sounding so somber but also just pretty energetic, and I love that. The thing I love most about this song probably comes in the senpai part. Senpai sounds broken down, while Boyfriend also sounds broken but also just so happy at the exact same time. He's done his role. He's destroyed this world, all with Pico's help, and he's just enjoying his victory as both Senpai and Spirit are both struggling a little bit, but he's not going to let that stop him at all. He's going to enjoy this victory as they all fade away as Spirit and Pico come back. Speaking of the two, Spirit sounds genuinely incredible in the song. He sounds just like Senpai, yes, but to his own little twist to it, and I love that so much. Pico also probably sounds at either his second best or his best in the mod. I'm kind of conflicted where I think it's better than it was in System Overload, but even then I still think it's an incredible performance right here. He sounds like he's just proud of what he's done and he's not ready to hold anything back. The melodies are also just amazing the entire way through. They're slow, just like an Outrage, but unlike Outrage, I felt that should have been more high energetic. I feel like this works for a slower beat because remember, everything's been destroyed. And the song comes to a really good ending as both Senpai, Spirit, and Pico just disappear. Although I do have a slight issue with the song. It has a bit of a weak ending with a 30-second long instrumental fade out just like Crisis, and I don't really like that a ton. It's honestly what's killing the song from ranking an SS for me, but still, I love Oblivion so much. And, that was Funkin' Corruption Insanity. I'll be honest, I had a lot of fun doing this mod. It's short, it's sweet, and it's just, overall, for the most part, nice. Except Utopia. Seriously, fuck you, Utopia. You're a bad song, and I don't ever want to come back to you ever again. But yeah, this mod was a lot of fun to do. Sorry if everybody's expecting Pat the Deicide, but I do have good news. I do actually plan on covering that mod sometime later on in Chapter 2. I just want to give you guys a little heads up for that before I go and do that sometime in these upcoming months. But with that out of the way, here's my tier list. Pretty positive for the most part, again, except Utopia, and no SS's. Although I am trying to be a bit more strict with some of my SS's, except in Doki Doki Takeover and Flavor Rave, but we don't talk about those two mods, so those are two really good mods, and I'm getting off topic. So, up next will be versus FNAF 2. No trick, it's actually going to be versus FNAF 2, unless I hit my subscriber goal, when in that case it will either be versus Orville Guy versus FNAF 3 or Heaven's Rift, depending on what I want to do. I'll let you guys choose when we get there. But until then, I'll see you all in the next video.